I'm joined by our press reviewer, Elena Casas. Hi, Elena. So what's hitting the front pages today?
Well, it's the war of the manifestos that's shaping up today. Nicolas Sarkozy finally, just 2.5 weeks before the election, announces his detailed policy programme this afternoon. That follows François Hollande, who yesterday announced his agenda for the whole of the first year he would be president, down to when Parliament would sit and what days he'd want to pass different bills on and things like that. Now, to prepare the ground for Sarkozy's big announcement later today, Le Figaro has come out all but guns blazing against Hollande's plans, saying he's decided to charge an extra 50 billion euros worth of taxes. Their editorial says his plan is dangerous. They say that not only the very rich and successful and people that Hollande said he plans to attack would be paying more taxes under his plans, everyone will be. They reckon that what France needs more than anything is spending cuts. In the Socialist Party programme, there are virtually none. There's lots of spending rises, things like 150,000 extra jobs for young people, 60,000 extra jobs for teachers. Now, though, Figaro reckons there's no way that can possibly be financed. Now, Libération explains on their website, though, that this is kind of part of a war of numbers that's going on between both parties. Both accuse the other of having not properly calculated their spending plans. So the UMP has accused François Hollande of having as much as 40 billion euros of unfinanced spending plans in his plan. The PS, the Socialist Party, has fired back by saying that Sarkozy has got at least 25 billion euros of unfinanced promises in his manifesto, the details of which we still don't know yet. Now, the UMP is betting pretty heavily, the paper explains, on economic growth predictions that most economists think are unlikely or, overly optimistic at the very least. So they're not quite sure where Sarkozy is going to find that cash from either. In Les Echos, the business paper, they've got François Hollande on the front page. They're having a look at his policy as well. But they essentially say that France's economic situation is not really being addressed properly by either of the candidates. They're both multiplying promises, but they're kind of failing to realise France has no money and they don't quite know where they're going to get the cash from.
Okay, well, we're going to stick with President Sarkozy because he's also being accused by one paper of politicising the fear of radical Islam here in France.
Yes, extraordinary front page from Libération. They've got him standing at a pulpit giving a speech, standing on the back of a Muslim cleric. The headline is "The Dangerous Liaisons Between Sarkozy and Islam." Now, of course, this is because a couple of dozen people have been arrested over the last week for alleged involvement in plotting a terrorist plot. This weekend, there's a Congress of the Islamic Associations of France, and the government has banned 4 foreign preachers from coming there, saying that they might preach hate speech. Now, the paper says we should point out that those preachers have visited France fairly recently without causing any controversy, and it seems this is clearly an electoral move to win over Marine Le Pen's voters so that she can't go around TV and radio interviews saying, "I've been telling you all along, the threat of Islamism in France has been underestimated." So they reckon this is just electoral manoeuvring. They accuse him of stage managing those arrests and of calling TV newsrooms to get their cameras on the site before they called his interior minister.
Okay, and finally, sticking with the presidential election, La Croix, the Catholic paper, they've got a challenge for all the presidential candidates.
Yes, what are you going to do about poverty? That's their front page question. They've asked all the main candidates on the inside. They've all got their own different solutions. Nicolas Sarkozy betting on economic growth again in that answer, saying he's going to create jobs because the economy will grow. Quite how, he doesn't explain. François Hollande's got some more interventionist principles, saying he's going to create jobs through investment and he's going to freeze rents. And Jean-Luc Mélenchon, the far-left candidate, says that the capitalist system as it is will always create poverty and we need some radical change. Now, La Croix themselves, in their editorial, call on laws making it tougher for landlords to expel their tenants if they can't pay the rent. They say they've been calling for this at every election since 1995 without anything being done about it, while the number of homelessness in France just grows and grows.
Okay, well, thanks very much indeed, Elena, for that look at all today's French newspapers. Time now for a reminder of today's top stories here on France 24.